Good morning. It is a beautiful Saturday out here. The dump truck is running. It still has a lot of things wrong with it. I'm not going to get into that right now, but it's running okay. So I had it idling a little bit earlier. I've got the dump bed raised so we can get to the fuel tank. We're going to put some gas in it today. My brother is on his way over here with the backhoe, so hopefully we're going to be productive today. Now, before I get started, I've got a few things to check. I've already added some power steering and brake fluid, which, by the way, on this truck, they're actually tied together, so I wasn't really sure what to use. So I put .3 brake fluid in both the power steering and the brake fluid reservoir. I've had this thing for about a year, and when I first got it, the brakes were pretty much non-existent. Very soft or spongy pedal. So I filled up the brake fluid reservoir, and it's been great ever since. For some reason, now that I've got it running, I'm having a brake problem again. The pedal's going straight to the floor. So anyway, I wasn't sure what fluid to use. I tried to look it up. I put brake fluid in everything. I mean, they're tied together, so that's got to be what it uses. So I started pumping the brakes a little bit. It seems to be getting harder. I've got a couple of more things I've got to do to this thing to get it ready. I'm going to have to put some air in the tires. Also, going to be using my grinder and my cutoff wheel. I bought some cutoff wheels at Harbor Freight. Whoops. I bought some cutoff wheels at Harbor Freight. I don't know if these are any good. I've never used a cutoff wheel, well, only one time on a project. I got 5 of these for $6. I don't really know about cutoff wheels. Apparently they come in different grits like sandpaper. I got the 60 grit. They had a spot, I think, for 24 grit and 40 grit, but all those were sold out, so I had to get the 60. Alright, let's get started on this thing. First, I'll show you my gas tank. This gas tank, if you watched my other videos, you'll know that this gas tank is brand new. I put this on. It's got a new gas tank, new fuel pump, all new gas lines. But you got this short little spout. I just took this off the old one. Eventually I'm going to have to maybe make this longer because it is almost impossible to put gas in this thing if the dump bed is down. I have to use long funnels and get in weird positions, and if you're holding up a 5-gallon gas can, it's very heavy. And of course I've got my board in here right now just for a little bit of safety. I've got the hydraulics kind of lowered down on the board. This is the same thing I did the other day when I filled up the hydraulics. I used this board here. I'm sure I'll make a video on that sometime. Since the hydraulics leak, I'm going to have to keep filling this thing up for now until I fix it. But you just take that little cap off there, put your fluid in there. So a couple things I'm going to be doing this morning with my cutoff wheel. One is I'm going to be cutting off this ugly exhaust pipe. Let me go around to the other side and show you. For right now, I'm just going to cut it off about right here. I just want it to dump over the axle. Now eventually we'll be taking this old muffler off. It still has a catalytic converter I'm going to be taking off of here. Maybe I'll be putting a Flowmaster and just dump it right behind the muffler. This thing also needs new headers on it. But for right now, all I'm going to do is just cut it off right there and let it dump over the axle. The other thing I'm going to be cutting off is this right here. Originally there was another fuel tank on this side of the truck, and this is what the filler neck was attached to. I don't need that. I'm going to be mounting a toolbox here at some point. So we're just going to cut this off right here at the frame. I don't know if this thing is factory or not. The other side did not have one. I don't know if this is something a previous owner just welded on there, but it's gone now. I might look a little nervous when I'm using the cutoff wheel. I don't have a lot of experience with it. Plus, I don't have a face shield. And I bought these very cheap cutoff wheels. And this first one, well, you can see right there it's cracked, and right there it's cracked. Now, part of the problem, you can see these grinding wheels, they have this little hump here. Well, I guess I didn't buy the right kind of cutoff wheel. It doesn't have this little hump. I don't really know if that's necessary. But when you tighten down the nut to put this on the grinder, it kind of bows the middle in a little bit. So as I'm grinding, this thing started cracking. Now I've got eye protection on, but what about my beautiful face? This thing could come apart. I've seen it happen on my Dremel tool. I have these tiny little grinding wheels and cutoff wheels I use all the time on my Dremel. Sometimes they explode or come apart and shrapnel goes everywhere. I've never been hurt by that, but this thing is huge. So this thing might cut me in the face. There it is, just dumping behind the axle. It's not cut perfect, but it's good enough for now. Nobody's ever going to see it anyway. And eventually we're going to be replacing all of this exhaust all the way, including the headers. Time for a backyard update. We have finally been getting stuff done around here in the backyard. I have not been filming a lot because the dump truck, while it is running, it's still giving me a lot of problems. It's very frustrating. I'm just trying to be productive and get things done. Last Saturday, my brother came over here, brought his backhoe over here again, and we got a lot done. We might have moved about 30 loads down to the back of my property. And it's starting to look really good out here now. I mean, this stuff was all the way up here. We got all this cleared. And then I've kind of got all this knocked down over here. Back down here in the backyard, about to fuel up the tractor. I had to buy a new diesel can today. This is the old one. The problem is that it leaks. It actually leaks here and down here somewhere. It's leaking from the seam. My brother seems to think maybe from it being old and also expanding and contracting over time. The thing I really like about this one is this extra handle. If you have 5 gallons of diesel, it gets pretty heavy. So when you start tipping it up, it's nice to have this handle that you can kind of hold it with. Well, I did not want to wait and order one of these, because I don't know where this one came from. So I went to Wally World and I just got a cheap one. I thought it was going to be $14 and they suckered me online because I get to the register and the thing was $19. But I was in self-checkout, so I did not want to deal with trying to get the price match, whatever. This one is full of diesel, but there you go. Don't really like this one at all. I should have just waited and bought one like the other one. But I do want to show you one thing. Have you bought a gas can or a fuel can of any kind recently? If you get a plastic one, they have these terrible pour spouts. I mean, the government regulation is ridiculous. You can't even buy a gas can without government regulating safety features. I've seen all different kinds of these and they're all terrible. So if you ever buy a new fuel can, the first thing you should do is take that off and throw it in the garbage. This thing came from Tractor Supply. It's nice. It's very simple. And all you do is just unscrew the cap and you pour the diesel fuel. There's no switches and levers and balancing of whatever you have to do. This pour spout from Tractor Supply, it also comes with a vent. Now I will drill the hole in this later after I put the diesel in the Kubota. Well, that didn't really work. I had to go ahead and put the vent on there. Pretty easy. Took some pliers, popped it out of the other one, drilled a hole, pushed it in. Works great.